Good afternoon, dear students. I am Rajesh and you are watching Learning SS with Rajesh YouTube channel. Dear student, in ninth class civics, we are going to start lesson number 1 and the name of lesson is What is Democracy and Why Democracy. In the previous class, in 8th class, you learnt about the main features of Indian constitution, and in that constitution in preamble you have learned that India is a democratic country. Now in ninth class lesson number 1 we will read about the broader meaning and the simple meaning of democracy and argument against democracy. Let's start our today's work. So first one point is, what is democracy? Democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. From these 2-3 lines, you learn that democracy is a form of government. And this government, the rulers are elected by people. Rulers are elected by people. So that's why democracy is also known as demos plus kratia word it's taken from, and democracy here means a rule of people. Rule of people because people choose their leader, people elect their leaders to form the government, and such type of government is known as democracy. I hope you learned the meaning of democracy now. The democracy is a form of government in which rulers are elected by people. And the simple meaning, in a simple words we can say that demos plus kratia. Democracy is a word derived from demos plus kratia. Demos here means people and kratia here means rule. And the rule of people is known as democracy. I hope you learned the both meanings now. After that, the meaning of democracy, we will learn about the features of democracy. What are the major features in a democracy? The first major feature of democracy is major decisions by elected leaders. In the previous point, you learned that democracy is a form of government in which rulers are elected by people. Now the major feature is all major decisions should be taken by these leaders, these elected leaders. This is the first major feature of democracy. Let's learn it with example. In Pakistan, in October 1999, General Pervez Musharraf was the army commander, overthrew the government, overthrew the democratic government and became chief executive. Who became the chief executive in Pakistan in 1999? General Pervez Musharraf. It will be the objective type question in exam. And now the next point, how did he affected that elected government? Later he became president forcibly. Here means with power, with military power, he became president of Pakistan. In August 2002, he issued an order. That order was known as Legal Framework Order. So now, it will be the another question in your exam. What do you mean by Legal Framework Order? Legal Framework Order, LFO. Ordered by General Pervez Musharraf. It was an order to amend the constitution. Legal Framework Order was an order to amend the constitution. And what was the amendment in that constitution of Pakistan? According to the order, President can dismiss the National and Provincial Assembly. It means President have lot of powers. He can or she can dismiss the National and Provincial Assembly, means the elected rulers. So I think you are learning now step by step that General Pervez Musharraf dismissed the power of elected rulers in Pakistan. But you know that in democracy, all the power should be in the hand of elected rulers. This is the first major feature of democracy. And finally, Pakistan had elections, elected rulers, but final decision cannot be taken by elected members, as you learned that General Pervez Musharraf had all the powers. But on the other hand, elected members did not have much powers. I hope you learned the meaning. The first major feature of democracy, with help of example of General Pervez Musharraf, that all the power should be, or decisions should be taken by the elected leaders. Next feature of democracy is free and fair election. I hope you learned this point while we were reading the chapter. Free and fair election. Free election here means all people can part in election, means fight or contest election. Free here means all people are free to contest election. And fair here means no cheating should be there in election. Election should be fair. I hope you learned the second point, and we will learn it with the example of China and Mexico now. The Parliament of China is known as National People's Congress. It will be the objective type question in your exam. What is the name of Parliament of China? You know, National People's Congress. Now, here is question I think in your mind, sir. What was the problem there according to the example? The problem there was Chinese Communist Party is one and only single party in China. And you know that there is a single party system in China. The Chinese Communist Party not allowing, or it means no one can contest election without the permission of Chinese Communist Party in China. It means in China elections are not free and fair. You know that no one can contest election without permission of Chinese Communist Party. And nextly, in Mexico became free in 1930. It will be also objective type question in your exam. When was Mexico become a free country? 1930, from the colonial rule. Now there was a party named as PRI, and that party wins always. That party wins always. Due to dirty tricks, you know that there was no fair election in Mexico, because PRI also win with the help of dirty tricks in the elections. It means with the help of cheating in the elections. And there was censorship also. You learned in second lesson socialism in Europe and revolution of Russia, that after October, Lenin forced the censorship in Russia. You know that censorship here means control over media. It means PRI party had control over media. No one can protest that party. It means the election in Mexico is not fair. I hope you learned the example, and that in China and Mexico we cannot say that there is democracy, because in democracy elections are free and fair, and you learn the free and fair with example of China and Mexico. I hope you learned the second point. Third one is one person, one vote and one value. I hope you know this point very well, but now we will read it about with a simple example. One person, one vote, one value. Here means, for example, we are Indian in India, and there are different religious community live there. For example, we are Hindu. It means all Hindus and all people of our country, one person. It means a single person, for example, a Z person is there. Z person must have one vote and one value. It means equal value. Not the value of Y should be the less or more than Z. It means all people have equal value of their vote. For example, in Fiji, vote of Fijian is valuable than the Indian Fijian. Here it means in Fiji, one person, one vote, one value is not followed by Fiji, because Fijian people have more valuable vote. I hope you learned the point now. And the next point is rule of law and respect for rights. I hope you know that rule of law here means all should be equal in the eyes of or before law. But in Zimbabwe, we shall read this point with the help of example of Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, there are free and Zimbabwe became free country in 1980. It will be also objective type question in your exam. Zimbabwe is the country of Africa continent, and Harare is the capital of Zimbabwe, you know. ZANU-PF party was a major party in Zimbabwe, as you learned the Communist Party in China. This party leaders was Robert Mugabe. It will also be the next major objective type question in your exam. Leader Robert Mugabe. What was the major problem in that election of Zimbabwe? No one can criticize him. No one can criticize him here means there is no respect of other people's right, or means there is no rule of law, because you know that rule of law here means all are equal before law, whether it's the president of a country or the leader of any country or the simple citizen of country, all should be equal. But in Zimbabwe all are not equal. It means there is no rule of law, and no one can protest the ZANU-PF party and Robert Mugabe. It means people have no right to criticize someone. I hope you learned with the example that in a democratic country there should be rule of law and respect for rights. I hope you learned that. Fourth major point also. So let's tell me about the four major features of a democracy. I hope you learned with examples now. The first major feature is all the power should be in the hand of elected leaders, and there should be free and fair election, and then one person, one vote and one value, and then a rule of law should be there and rights should be respected. And the last, the third major point of the lesson is why democracy. It means what are the benefits of a democracy. For example, India is a democratic country. What are the benefits of democracy to the Indian people? First one major point is accountable government. Democracy provides an accountable government. So here is another question in your mind, I think. Sir, we don't know the meaning of accountable government. Accountable government here means the government is answerable to the citizen of a country for any harm or for any situation. It's known as accountable government. We can learn it with example of famine in China in 1958 to 61. It was the major famine of China's history. You know that why that famine was? Because there was no democratic government. Because democratic government is a responsible government or accountable government to the citizen or any calamity or any. It means it's a good government, you can say that. And next is adjust the society. Democratic government, it means a democratic government is also helpful to adjust the society. To adjust the society here means, for example, Hindu, Muslim, Sikhs and another community live in India, and you know that democratic government adjust all them by giving equal rights. I hope you learned that point now. And the next is It enhances the dignity of citizen. Democracy enhances the dignity of citizen by giving equal rights. By giving equal right to the people. And next is we can correct mistake by replacing leaders. In democracy, the next one benefit is we can replace the, or we can improve our mistake. For example, if someone can think that we have chosen or X, for example, Narendra Modi, we have chosen Narendra Modi as our leader, it's our mistake, for example. But you know that we can replace our mistake. Okay? And the next is set up peace. It sets up peace in the country by giving adjustment in the society. I hope you learned the point now with help of some example that why is democratic or democracy important for any country, or what are the benefits. Now the demerits of, or means argument against democracy. What are the demerits there? Leaders keep changing. Leaders keep changing in democracy. For example, you know that if you think that Narendra Modi is a good leader for India, he can improve India in a better way. After 5 years, for example, people can change him. But you can repent. You can repent that if this is the good leader for India, why it's changed? It means a problem is there. Some leaders keep changing whether they are good or not. And when good leader is changed, it's the demerit of democracy. There is a leader keep changing. I hope you learned the point with example. Now, no place for morality. No place for morality here means leaders have no morality, or means in democracy, rulers have no morality at all. They have their dignity and no morality is there. And next is delays in decisions. Delay in decision means in democracy, leaders take decision with arguments, and after arguments decisions are taken. But you know that there is a delay in election or decision, I hope. Next is bad decision. There can be bad decision in democracy because some leader don't know what is good for citizen or what is bad for them. They make decision. It means sometimes the decision can be bad. I hope you learned the next point also. And corruption, you know that in democracy number of means at high percentage corruption is also there, because due to fulfill their greed, leaders are corrupt in any democracy. I hope you learned that what are the demerits of democracy. And the last one point of today is what is the broader meaning of democracy. Broader meaning of democracy is not such a type of government that in people choose their leaders and free and fair elections and one person, one vote, one value. There is a broader meaning of democracy also. What is the broader meaning here? So the democratic government must be the ideal government also. Ideal government here means a good government which can solve the major issues. Major issues like unemployment, corruption and other problem, safety, food security, education, better education system. It means a broader meaning of democracy is the democratic government should be the ideal government, and it should solve the major issues like I have given example now, and there should be equality in democracy. But you know that in democracy equality is also a major word, not in reality. There is discrimination in democracy also. I hope you learned that. In a broader meaning of democracy, these points should be included to make the good democracy a fine piece of democracy. I hope you learned the major points of lesson very easily. If you are new on my YouTube channel, please subscribe the channel, like and share also. Thank you and have a nice day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.